That's right, we're back. After 4 months, yes, that's right, 4 long, jibless months, I've returned to save the land, really, because, let's face it, it's getting pretty dull without me. So, I'm back, and, I was going to say better than ever, but, you know, stuff happens, doesn't it? So, yeah, so anyway, a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of random stuff to talk about, and a lot of stuff I've got on my mind that I'm going to get off my mind and free up my mind so I've got more space. It's like when you go on your computer, you know, and you have your, like, kind of videos that you don't need anymore. Not them kind of videos, but, you know, and delete them, and you're like, okay, good, delete that. And then you go to your recycle bin, and you get rid of that, and you look and you're, oh, wow, I've got some more gig left to use by downloading some more stuff. Legal downloading, by the way. Nothing untoward, obviously. Anyway, but that being said, I'm back, and let's basically just get on with the show. So, anyway, other than that, I'm talking about TV I've been watching lately, which is a good segment, actually, for once. As well as that, we've got, obviously, Joke of the Week, and it used to be called the Yank My Rod section. I think it's going to be that, but then, for some reason in this show, it's called the Grinding My Gears section. So that's stuff that really knocks my rod, but in this episode it's called Grinding Gears, so, you know, just go with it, because I am, just chilling, going with the flow, and at the end of the day, what more can you ask for? Obviously money, but, you know. Anyway, let's go. Now, the first thing that I have to address, obviously, is the passing of Sir Bruce. I didn't know it happened, actually, and I had a young friend in, nothing dodgy. Had a young friend in talking about it, and he's like, "Oh, did you hear about Bruce dying?" I was like, "No, Bruce Forsyth." And he's like, "Yeah." I don't know why I did an impression for my own accent. But there you go. Yes, Bruce Forsyth, the one, the only. Looks a lot like a football guy, but I can't remember the name of at the moment. Anyway, yeah. So we hadn't been on like Strictly Come Dancing for a while, and that was a shame. I didn't watch it anyway, but yeah. But that's another one gone, isn't it? So whittled away. But there's a few left around, isn't there? You know, people, a few billion of them. So I think we'll be all right. But as a memoriam and a tribute to the man himself, we've mentioned him on the show before. I can't remember why, or well, actually, there's no reason we do anything on this show. So without any reason, we mentioned him, and as such, I thought it was fitting to put together a little tribute video. I've got celebratory images of Sir Bruce. You can imagine. Black and white images, some colour shots for the more poignant and emotive sections. And I've put it to a wonderful piece of music. And I realise, having spent a good few hours on this project, that podcasts are in fact audio pieces. So unfortunately, you'll just have to imagine the wonderful shots of Sir Bruce running marathons, him standing next to sickly children for charity events and the like, and dancing and being quite awkward with women in dresses on Strictly Come Dancing, and them kind of wincing every time he gets slightly too close to them with his moustache. But that being said, it's time for a tribute to the man, well, the one, the only, Mr. Bruce Forsyth, and obviously you can't see it, you can't feel the full glory, you can't bask in the full glory that is this tribute video, but if you were here right now, I'm pretty sure it would bring a tear, or two, maybe even three. No, three is too far. Definitely two. Tears to your eye as you sit there and gaze upon the wonderful pieces that I've put together. But obviously you can't see it, so just imagine all the great things that are going on as we play this next song. So I'm going to play that for you now, and I'll see you in a few.
I've never been closer, I tried to understand that certain feeling carved by another's hand.
So we fade in from black. So he's jumping through a hoop, and he's popped up really surprised, and he's doing a dance, and he's waving to some people in the crowd, and he's singing with Donny Osmond, and he's doing that pose where he turns to the right and he puts up one of his forearms, and he's all excited and happy, and then he's dancing, he's doing like a bit of a quick step, and he's hopping down the stairs there, careful there, and he's coming down the stairs, he's doing a weird kind of like tappy dance, and then he's got a woman coming across and just sticks his leg up, and he's dancing around the circle with her, and sticks a leg up, and he grabs her thigh, and they're kind of rocking back and forth, and he's got another one, he's kind of like a penguin, he's got his hands on his hips, kind of doing that other tappy dance thing again, and obviously they've got his appearance from Toast of London on here as well, this time in black and white, and him singing again, him singing with a black guy, who I don't really know who he is, and him telling jokes, and he's doing that thing where he's telling a joke and kind of waiting for the audience to do something, and they're kind of doing it, but not sure why, and then there's Bruce Forsyth in one absorbing balls, and he's going around in slow motion, and it's like rolling towards the camera very slowly, and we've got him dancing again, and this is from when he did the bungee jump in South Africa, and he's caught up in one of them gypsy bead doorway rail things, and now he's dancing next to some presents again, there in red and gold presents, and he's got a massive bow tie on, he's pressing the button, it's spinning around a circle, and now he's doing a dance, I think it's Gangnam Style, it looks like he's playing invisible drums, all riding a horse, and he's got another one that looks like he's playing a skipping rope in front of some stairs, and he's singing again, and he's doing a running marathon here, he's got a vest on, and now he's in a children's ward, and he's shaking hands with some children, and he stood next to them in the bed, and he's got a plaque, and he's giving one boy a present, I'm not sure what's in there, and he's kissing a woman on the cheek, and he's looking very happy. He's actually shorter than I thought he was. He stood next to a man here, and he just looked quite short. He's taller than Anna Whittaker now, and now he's slowly on one of the rotating boards with a flare going off, and it's spinning him around in a circle, and it's going in slow motion in black and white now as we slowly fade out for the as does the music, and there you go. And there you have it, a moving and soulful tribute to the great man himself. Now, to pick up with a bit of pace, and insert a bit of upbeatness, a little dash of excitement, a bit of on the pulse action, a bit of on the button nowness. We're going to well, people have been asking for more of a morning radio show, really. I've had calls in from a Mr. P. Burton from Hammersmith, and he says I would like he says Jib. He was courteous. He mentioned my name at the start. Didn't just be lazy like some of you have been, and just write anything or just sent lewd and rather vulgar pictures, which I've had to delete and wipe my hard drive in case anyone came knocking on my door afterwards. But anyway, back to the thing at hand, and the thing at hand at the moment is the thing about having more of a breakfast radio show kind of dealy bob going on. So right now I'm gonna do that for you. You asked for it, Mr. P. Burton of Hammersmith, and what you asked for, Mr. P. Burton of Hammersmith, is what you're gonna get, Mr. P. Burton of Hammersmith. So without any further ado, next 5 minutes or so is going to be a segment where it's going to be like the morning radio news. So, well, not the news, the morning radio shows that you get. You get me, you feel me, holler at me, etc. So, let's go. Alright, it's 9:10 in the morning. That's AM. I don't actually know what AM stands for. I believe PM stands for post-mortem, but AM, still no, automotive, it's definitely not that, because that was a car. Anyway, as they usually have on these amazing breakfast shows, not only do they have really, really boring, samey old music that sounds exactly the same as every other song, but they also have fantastic segments where they cut away to people doing stuff elsewhere. And we're going to do that right now, because I'm going to join Rolando Peach, who is actually off in a helicopter. Yes, we actually hired a helicopter for this show. That's the budget. We literally saved up the past few months while we've not been on. I've been doing some, cash in hand jobs and on the side, I can't really go into too much detail. It's nothing, nothing to worry about, nothing too serious, nothing, so it's all above board, technically. Anyway, yes, let's go and join Rolando Peach, who I believe is over Clydesdale. Rolando, how's Clydesdale over there?
Well, so actually, yes, I don't know if you can hear me right now, but we are actually on board the vessel as we are speaking. The vessel is actually above the ground. We've got the choppers out. Well, the choppers, not choppers as in teeth choppers, obviously, not that. Choppers, the actual vessel is regarded as a chopper itself. No, more of a sort of blades. We've got blades, yeah, rotating blades, but not as in a razor blade, but rotating blades. But not rotating blades as in like a blender. No, we've got these blades moving around the vessel. We've got one on top and one betwixt the tail. Moving round in a rotacular motion, keeping this the chopper really in the air. I am currently being told to report the weather and the traffic, and I can currently report that there is weather occurring. As I look up into the sky, there's cloudy. There's a bit of patches here and there. You got a bit of sun shining through, but overall just cloudy really. Overcast would be a word some would say. Possibly me right now, like I just said it, but yeah, we've got a bit of sun coming through, but not enough for a barbecue or to go out with one of your millers and lie on top of a board and get yourself all nice and roasted. No, not that type of weather at all. No, this is more the type of weather where you kind of hurry off to go to Tesco. You want to get back as quickly as possible, wear a nice big thick jacket or a jumper, and come back and be nice and warm and all cosy. And so as I'm saying, we are doing the weather. We've just done the weather report right there, and we've also got the traffic. So traffic, I'm looking down. We're actually above a field as I'm speaking. No traffic on the field. Well, there is a tractor, but it looks parked at the moment. A few cows milling around. I hope that settles everyone's taste buds quite nicely. Yes, wondering what's going on with the weather and the traffic and some such, but that is what's going on right now. So thanks very much, and back to you at the studio. I don't know if you can hear me. If you can't, I'm afraid I've just been rambling on the past few minutes for no reason. Hopefully you can hear me, and if you can, you're welcome.
Well, there you have it. Very informative piece there from Mr. Rolando Peach, who is up in his vessel, so to speak. And I think that segment went pretty well. So that was for you, Mr. P. Burton of Hammersmith. And if you'd like that, then remind me to send another email in. And maybe you'll like some evening news next time. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Like, send a guy out in a helicopter at night to tell you what the weather's like. It could be dark, it could be rainy. It definitely won't be sunny, because at night time the sun is generally not about. But yeah, that could be fun. So make sure to send that in, because we have plenty of time to do whatever you want us to do, as you can tell. So as usual, we're going to go back to the roots, really. We had our main focus points, our main areas that we wanted to cover on each show. We had our different segments. That's a good word for it, segments, yes. I'll use that word, segments. We had different segments which we were going to go through. We're going to use like this one, be like, hey, look, now it's the segment where we do blah-de-blah-de-blah. So, speaking of these segments, we're going to start with the joke of the week. And I think we should still have the old, what's it called? Jingle, that's the one. Should still have the old jingle. So, if we can play the jingle now and go on to the joke of the week. So here we go.
Joke of the week.
What do you call a chameleon that can't camouflage? A reptile dysfunction. There you go, that was the joke of the week this week, and that was sent in by Mr. S. Burton of Halifax. So thanks to Mr. S. Burton. A lot of Burtons listen to this show, apparently. So if Tim Burton is one of them, I am available. Anything, really, not fussed. Even if it's, demeaning, as long as it pays anything, I'll be in touch. Anyway, time for another segment. But I think last time we covered kids talking about, what did they talk about? Them kids that are on the internet and they're like, oh, I'm 10 and I'm watching, I don't know, the trailer for Saw. Oh, what a daredevil I am. And I can't be arsed with them, to be honest. Just get rid of them. So that was one of them, but I said it with a lot more gusto and oomph than I am right now. And there may be a reason for that, which is because I'm slightly ill. But nevertheless, I can't let illness get in the way of good business or trying to do good business or stuff like that. Because if people were ill and they just gave up, like, you wouldn't have any buildings or anything, would you? You know them guys that sat on them girders, didn't they, eating their packed lunches back in the 1920s or whenever, making the Empire State Building. If they were all ill, you wouldn't have an Empire State Building, would you? Or at least you wouldn't have the built up stuff. You'd have like a kind of frame thing. You'd probably have like a few girders left around. Yeah, like who? Like, how did they get on that girder? That's what I want to know. Is it so they're like eating their lunch and there's just another like dude off at the side just like not eating his lunch who has to control the crane and like winch them out and be like, oh look, just so that you can have your moment, yeah, like get someone to take a picture of you, think you're all great sitting on that girder. Yeah, well I'm the guy that's doing it. I could drop you guys right now, yeah, and who would remember, huh? Nobody. Yeah, I could drop you before that picture's even took, but no, I'll be nice, yeah, and I'll lay this girder out, and I'll hoist it over to the side, and I'll let this fella. He's probably the bugger that took the picture as well. He had to climb out and then go and take the picture. Because if you were there, yeah, you wouldn't want to be the guy taking the picture either, because you wouldn't be in the bloody picture either. So shout out to the crane operator for the Empire State Building girder workers shot. You are a good man. Anyway, on with the grinding gears segment. And one thing that grinds my gears is, well, I've got a list here. I'll go through the list and I'll pick one out for you. One thing that grinds my gears is I'm gonna go with let's have a look. See. Okay, we'll go with people not indicating and getting annoyed when you cross the road. So this may have happened to you. This may not have happened to you. You could relate, and if it hasn't happened to you, then obviously you won't be able to. But I've found in the past that you'll be standing at the road, and as a very safe and orderly pedestrian, I like to stand at the side of the road, and I'll be very careful. I'll be very aware, and I'll be like, okay, look, here's a car coming. I'll not cross the road because I don't want to get killed. And if I got killed, then that guy would probably get in trouble. He'd probably get arrested. All that sort of stuff. He'll probably feel guilty. He might even kill himself later on, further down the line. That wouldn't be good for anybody. Unless they're like a murderer or something, and in that way it's kind of like full circle because they kill someone, but then they're killing themselves. So it's kind of like, no, is anyone really bothered because he's already killed someone? So maybe it's not such a bad thing after all. But then I'd still be dead, so then I'd kind of be like, oh well, wish I hadn't have died. But anyway, you get the idea. So yeah, when you're like waiting by the side of the road, very patiently and orderly, and they sit there, and you're like, okay, I guess that means that they're going to go forward. They're not going to turn left in the direction that I am and nearly run me over. So you go to walk over the road, and they bloody well turn left after not indicating, and then they're like, oh, look at this kid, look at this guy's walking out in the middle of the road. It's like, yeah, well, yeah, do you know why I was walking out in the middle of the road, mate? It's because you said that you weren't going to bloody well go this way. So I was like, well, I'll just walk over the road then, won't I? Because there won't be anyone to knock me over. Except you being a bloody little fool. A fool, that's what you are. You don't use your indicators, right? This is a warning for all you. If you don't use your indicators, yeah, you're a fool. There's no excuse for it. Yeah. It's your fault. Something happens because you're not using your indicators. Whose fault's that? It's yours, isn't it? Because you're not using them. Use your indicators. Don't drink and drive. Any other questions? jib.suave@hotmail.com. That's jib.suave@hotmail.com. If you want any more driving tips, biting point, mirror, signal, maneuver, I'm your guy. I draw the line at lessons. That didn't go so well last time. But that's a story for another day. And that's still pending, and stuff needs to be resolved in that case. But we'll get there in the end. And but for now, no more driving lessons tutored by me. So yeah, I think I've pretty much covered the ground there. You understand the point I'm trying to get at. Just use your signals, and people. If you're being courteous and you're waiting for stuff to happen. And I like them people that wave you across the road, They'll do that thing, they'll put their hand up and you'll be like, oh, and you'll put your hand up back and you'll be like, oh, there's like a connection there between people. We need more of that. You're like, oh, thanks, man. Yeah. Peace, brother. Let me cross the road. You're a good man. So, yeah, there you go. There's my gear grinder of the week. And it's annoying sods that don't use the bloody signals. Use your signals. Yeah. And I'm sure some of you are wondering or thinking, where on earth is Windjammer Watson? Where's Windjammer Watson today? And the answer to that is I don't know. He didn't ring in sick. He hasn't left a note or a message. So if you're out there, Windjammer, and you're listening to this, you got to sort yourself out, mate. Yeah, because, co-hosts, they don't really make a big deal. Yeah, like I could do this show with a budgie, and it would probably do the same amount of views, which is about 1, because that'll be me checking to make sure that's gone through as it should have. And maybe the budgie would like to watch it back and see how he's done. But I don't know if because budgies can't actually talk. They did an experiment in Laos about budgies and parrots. And they were trying to work out why parrots can talk, but budgies and other birds cannot. So they had like a kind of, like weird science X Factor thing, not making them sing, because that would be inhumane. But they'd like tie them to like different voltage of circuits and run that through them, and the parrot would always say a word at 13 volts. And like 12 volts, it would just make like a kind of noise, like it was in pain, but it wasn't, because as we all know, animals don't have feelings, so we're fine there. 14 volts actually exploded. I don't know if you've seen Shrek, and there's a bit where Fiona's singing, for lack of a better term, and the bird's like singing along, and they gradually raise in their pitch until the bird just into a big ball of puffy feathers. And that's basically what happened. You get like 2 little stalk legs just left on the table where the bird used to be, and it's not a pretty sight. But they ate well on those days, so it was a win-win situation. Doing it for science and doing it for supper. So credit to them. I don't even know where Laos is. If I had to guess, my first thought was Brazil. But as we all know, everywhere in Brazil begins with a B, because they've got like Brasilia, and not Rio de Janeiro, because that's an R. But stuff like that. Yeah, maybe Finland or something. Not really sure. Yeah. Anyway. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was TV, because we usually do like the film review, and let's face it, it's quite long, and I don't think anyone listens to it. So we've got what I've been watching recently is TV, and one of the things that I've just started getting into is this thing called the Undateables, which is you get a load of Right, let's be careful with the term. It's a mixture between the handicapped and basically losers. It's what it's a cross between, and they'll be like, hey, "This is John. He's got a big bong eye, and he's been bullied, and no one loves him, and he wants a girlfriend." And everyone's like, "Oh, I hope John gets a girlfriend." And we see John sign up for a thing, and it'll either be with I can't remember. It's like Flame Introductions, or like Into the Stars or something, or like Among the Stars, some sort of cheesy kind of crackpot idea of a dating site. And they send out these women. Yeah, it's always women to these people's houses. And they'd be like, "What are you looking for in a woman?" He's like, "Yes, well, I'd like her to like me. That would be good." And you know, the usual of, you know, just being a woman. That'll do, really. Although there was one guy who would like he drew like a picture of the woman that he liked, or like his perfect shape of woman. And basically the overall theme for his woman was badunkadunk, and yeah, so you know, and it was also really creepy because he had like a tape measure that he'd take everywhere, and he wanted to like measure people's shoulders, because then he liked women that had 16-inch across shoulders. So you know, whatever that does for you. And this dude was like really ripped, but he had like a stammer, and I was like, come on, he's like that's not gonna make it that much of a difference. Like, there's this other dude who's got like Tourette's, but he's like a rugby player. And then like I was like, you don't need to be on here. He's doing it to like show off and like be like, "Oh look, I'm the king of the whatever you want to call them." So yeah, but the one I want to talk about, the reason that I bring it up is because I found my perfect person really on here, and his name was Alex. And he is the friendliest and nicest guy that I've ever seen, and I really want to be his friend. If anyone can set that up with me, Alex, if you're listening to me, you're a great man, and I would love to hang out sometime. Maybe, you know, maybe go to the cinema, or have a meal. You know, not like a date. You know, just like a hangout between friends. I love your hair. I love your enthusiasm for trivial things. Yeah, I think we'd hit it off really well. So if you're listening, jib.suave@hotmail.com. That's jib.suave@hotmail.com. Alex, hit me up. So basically, he'd been on it a few series ago, and he met this chick. Oh, this is back when he had like this long, like voluminous, kind of lovely, very very model like hair. It looked like very thick, like you'd love to like run your hands through it, and clean shaven except for this kind of 80s porno moustache, not like a handlebar, but just like, you know, like a nice thick one right there. And I'm not really sure, he had like some sort of like learning disability maybe, but you know, he just seemed like very excitable, and like he had a lot of love to give. And he loved many a thing. And one of the things that he loved was cars. And he was talking about his cars and how much he loved cars. And I was like, cool. Like, I don't like cars, but, you know, I feel like he's so passionate enough that he could fulfill the whole, like, car-loving thing for the two of us. So, yeah, so basically him, he went on a date. And he met this girl called Eloise. And at first it's kind of awkward, and she didn't really look at him, and I was like, well, this is going well. But then, you know, he started like turning up the Alex charm, and in the end, I think, yeah, she was like, I like this guy. And I was like, Alex, get in there. And so we come back about 2-3 series later, and we're back with Alex and Eloise, and they've been going out for 2 years. And I'm like, oh, he's doing so well. Like, this is like a nice catch up. We'll see how they're doing. And he's talking about how he wants to propose his love for Eloise. And I'm like, all right, cool. So we're going to see a happy ending with Alex, the greatest man that's ever lived. So he's ordered for them to go to, I think it was like Dreamland or something, which I don't know where it was. It was like Brighton or Blackpool or something wacky like that. You know, like kind of like them places that people go and they're like, oh, it's really exciting, but it's not really, and it's kind of a bit crap. But it was like a fun fair kind of thing. Think like the Blackpool pier thing, whatever the hell it's called. And he's like, oh, come on, Eloise, let's go there. And they talk to Alex. And they're like, how you doing? He's like, oh, I'm doing great. And he's happy and he's smiling. And he's basically, he's full of love. He's got a lot of love to give and he's giving it all to her. And he says he wants to propose his love to her. And at the end of this this little breakaway that they're going to have, we've been hijacked. It's Ronald Gumption. And, right, I've had enough of Ronald Gumption. The last few times, alright, I've been trying to record, yeah, and he keeps staring outside my window, and he's playing his bloody music, because he's got his podcast, which he thinks is really good, which is Gumption Sounds with Ron Gumption, and I'm sick of it. I'm not going to put up with it anymore. Oi! There you go. That shut him right down, didn't it? You hear that? Soon as I was like, you know, Jib Suave was going to cause a bit of a stink here, and not that kind of stink, like a real. I don't believe this. He's put it on again. Oh, you know, maybe I'll have to. All right, I'm gonna close the curtains because I'm sick of Ron bloody Gumption trying to play his bloody music, trying to interrupt my pod. Like if I went over to his house and I was like, "Hey, Ron, do you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna stand outside your house and I'm gonna get one of them weird wooden roundy clacky things you get at the football, yeah, and I'm gonna stand in your living room and I'm gonna ring my arm and clack this freaking little wooden clacky thing and I'm gonna blow my vuvuzela and I'm gonna trumpet out my arse. I'm gonna shove a armpit fart cushion on your chairs and jump up and down on them. Yeah, we don't like that. Would you like that, Ron? No, you wouldn't, would you? But he thinks it's all right. Do you know what time it is? It's 4:30. It's 4:30 in the bloody morning. On a Thursday. Who does this on a Thursday? It's not natural. I don't know why he's still up unless he's recording. No, he can't be recording because he's interrupted. All right, I need to just take a break here because this is. No, he's gone too far this time. Anyway, hopefully it's died down enough for me to continue my story. Anyway, so this Alex dude, he wants to tell Eloise how much he loves her. So they're off on this thing, and he's talking about how he can't describe how much he is in love, how much he adores this woman. He said like 1,000,000 thesauruses could not come up with the words that I need to describe his feelings. Which let's face it, that's hyperbole. That's not true. Obviously, he could, but I like the fact that he said it anyway. It's quite poetic. And right, don't get me started on poetry. There's this like bog-eyed guy who looks like a blobfish called Shane, and he's like, "Hello there." He looks about like 45, and he'll go up to these like 18-year-old barmaids or cafe women. I don't know what you call them. He'd be like, "Can I write you a poem?" And he'd be like, "Oh, she's the beautifulest girl I've ever seen in my life. I want to cover her in roses. Oh, she's fantastic. Oh, what a wonderful woman." And they'll be like, "Oh, thanks." And then they'll like kind of awkwardly like go because he's really creepy. Anyway, enough of Shane and more of Alex, who is a great man. And Shane is a creepy man. So let's move away from him, like most of the people that he interacts with. So anyway, back to Alex. And he's using all these words. He's like, "Oh, fantastic." Anyway, we get to the big day, and he meets up with her, and she's all shy, but eventually he's trying to get on these rides, and she didn't want to go on them because she's really awkward. She didn't like doing stuff, because apparently she's got like some sort of OCD thing. She didn't like to change a routine. So anyway, he gets her finally going his stuff, and it's like a pirate thing. He's like, "Oh, we're on the high seas," says I. And they're all like, oh, they're all laughing, having a great time. And finally they get down to the nitty-gritty. Not that nitty-gritty, but, you know, like the moment where he wants to profess his love for Eloise, and they're sitting on the beach. and he gives her some jewelry. I don't know if it's like a bracelet or a necklace or some sort of thing. And she's like, "Oh, that's nice." And then he says that he loves her, but it's kind of awkward because he didn't really get it out properly. He's like, "I love you," and like he says it like he's embarrassed, which he probably was. And she is like, "No, you don't. Shut up." And he's like, "I do, you know." And he's like cuddling into her and like kissing her arm, and she looks in the opposite direction, looking haunted and disgusted. And next thing we know, it was very awkward, and their date ended. So he's been going out for 2 years, and we cut to him, and they say it's been 3 months since they last met, which was that awkward altercation on the beach, and he hasn't heard back from her. He hasn't heard back from the love of his life, Eloise. She's kept the jewelry though. She's kept the jewelry, but no, she don't want to talk to him anymore. So he's very upset, and he had this amazing line where he was saying, "I've played many games before in my life, Call of Duty, etc. And the game I'm playing right now is the waiting game." And that he was. Three bloody months, that's like 100 days of waiting for this girl to do anything. So earlier in the show, we'd talked to Eloise's mother, who was like, "Oh, he's a great guy. I trust him with Eloise. He's a fantastic young gentleman. They have a wonderful relationship." So we cut back to them 3 months later after he said he loves her, and the mother is like, "He's a lovely young man, and I'm sure him and Eloise will have a great friendship." And and then that's bad. And then we go to Eloise, and she's like, "I like him, but I don't want to see him again." And I didn't cry, but I felt his I don't know, sorrow, his just general. I felt crappy for the guy, because the guy was like fantastic, and right, to be honest, like he could have done way better. But people can't help who they like, you know what I mean? So credit to him, he had the balls to say it, and it didn't play out like he would have wanted. But Alex, you're a great man, and if you're listening, there's plenty more fish in the sea, and they'll probably be nicer to you, and appreciate your appreciation of them, and like she did. And so, he was like upset, and he was very distraught, and he had this analogy where he was like I said, he likes cars, and he was playing with his cars, or he was trying to sort the car, and he was like, if you're driving a car and there's something wrong with it, it'll tell you, the dashboard will tell you there's something wrong with it, and you'll go and you'll fix it, and it'll be just like it never happened. And he was like, but life isn't like a car, because you don't always get told when things need fixing, and you're not always told if they can be fixed. Sometimes they can't be fixed. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So Alex's great car analogy is going to stick with me for the rest of my Jib-tastic days. And yeah, so what a guy. And if you want to check it out, I have no idea what episode or series it is, but they've got the box set on all 4, so Undateables, and his name's Alex, so I think it's like series 6 or 7, but he was a great man, and hopefully he'll be back on like the next one. I've just got into it, I've been like bashing through them, I've already watched like, I don't know, basically all of them. And there's this one guy called Ray who keeps turning up, and he's like, if Trevor McDonald met, let's think, this is a good one. If Trevor McDonald met Pug from the Bash Street Kids, met Fred from Coronation Street, that Ashley, that kind of Fred, and you combine them all together, he's black, he's a black guy with glasses and an awful moustache, and a kind of shaved head, and a large gentleman, But he's on. I feel like he's on every bloody show. I've gone through it from the start, and I'm sure we've been with him like 10 bloody times. And I know because I watched the 7th series, or the most recent one first, because I was a fool. And I saw, and they were like, oh, he was with these, and now he's not anymore. So I'm watching him go on a date with these women that I know he's going to go out with for like 3 months, and then he's going to stop going out with them. And I'm like, good God, we have to stay with Ray the entire time. And he's just, it's not like there's anything wrong with him, you know. I'm sure he's really nice, but he's kind of creepy, and I don't. Alright, hideous is a big word. He's not my type. I'll say that. And like with Shane, like, alright, as like I said before, he looks like a blobfish, and he's got like these kind of, I don't know. It's not like if you look at him, you'd be like, oh look, he's got this wrong with his face. It's just like one of them faces where you look at it and you're like, there's something off here, and I can't tell what it is. And he's got this hair that doesn't help at all. It's like, I don't know, like you get like one of them. What is it like? It's like Shakespeare if he had alopecia and dunked his head in a mop bucket and didn't bother drying it with a towel, and it just set as a wet, floppy bit of hair on his head. He didn't bother doing anything with it. Just shave the bloody thing off. Like, why is that so hard to do? Just shave the bloody thing off. But no, he's another one. He sticks around. He's like a parasite clinging on. Like 3, I don't know how many episodes he's had. Too many. With the same bloody hair and the same MO. He's like a serial killer. He's like the kind of serial killer. He'll kill someone. And I can see this, like, in a comic. He kills someone, and he'll write a little poem about how he did it, and about the person, and he'll leave it on the body, and he'll be like, oh, it's the poetry killer. The poetry killer struck again. That's him. I can imagine him doing that, because he'll go around to like the randomest people. He'll be like, oh, hello, and he's like, I'll write a poem for you, and they interview him, and they're like, has asking people if you can do a poem of them worked? No. Right. How old is this guy? Like 40, and it hasn't worked. Maybe you'd think you could try something else, or at least bloody ask them. He's like expecting, because he's like, oh, I wrote you a poem, that they can be like, oh, it's like links. It's like, oh, Shane, wow, you sexy beast, you. Why don't you take me out on a date and show me the time of my life? And that's not going to happen, right? This is the real world. It's not an advert. I learnt that when I try to get all them bouncy balls, and you know them bouncy balls in that advert when they're trying to show the colour for something, and they bounce them down this like sloped street, yeah. Right, the amount of damage that is going to cause is ridiculous. Like the cars, yeah, thousands of pounds worth of damage from these bloody little rubber balls bouncing all over the place, yeah. That's number one. Number two, the amount of expenditure it takes to get that many bouncy balls, not realistic. Number three, yeah, you can get the little ones caught down drain pipes, clog up the whole drainage system. The whole drainage system goes to cock. You're buggered, yeah, because you've put your balls down the drain and it's blocked everything out. Number four, actually, is there a number four? You have to go and pick them all up again. Unless you've got a team of, I don't know, ball pickers. Once you drop your balls, you're going to have to go around and pick them all up again. You're going to run down the end of that road, yeah, and make sure that you got them. Number five, yeah, you'll have to do it in, like, one take, because you're not going to want to be doing that, like, 3 times a day. Especially because you'll have to find them all. And number 6, how do you even, like, prop them? Like, where do you put them to release them? Like, unless you just, like, pile them up in, like a big box and tip it over. But knowing my luck, it'd probably be, like, the kind of thing where it would just like roll, and then instead of getting a bounce effect, you just have like a waterfall of like balls, which might look might look nice, you know, depending on the colour of the balls. But you know, if you're looking for like the bouncy ball effect, that I don't know, just get like thousands of people to stand in a line and throw a ball forward down a hill, and then you're gonna have to try and sort out the logistics of filming that, and I don't think it would work. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, how repulsive this man is, yes. So this old guy, he's blobfish with his wet mop Shakespeare hair. No, just not a good look. Actually, right, it's like super noodles. I don't know if anyone's ever had that. I don't know if, yeah, super noodles that are all wet and kind of, let's think, what flavour would they be? Like beef super noodles. This guy just like slopped them on his head, like, and that's what you got. That's his hair. Like if you're like, that's perfect analogy. Now that I think about it, go me. Yeah, just. And by the end of it, I don't know, because he was going out with this girl that he used to know from school, and he was like, "Oh, going out with this, going on a date with this girl. Turns out we used to go to school together." And I did have thoughts of a romantic nature about her back then, but I never said anything. And it turns out maybe she had some thoughts about me. And obviously, they split up after a few months, so that didn't work. And he'll meet. Right, there's one that you met this girl that looked like she had been slapped in the face. Alright, she looked like someone put a scorpion in her mouth, sellotaped it up, and just slapped her about the face, riling up this scorpion, yeah? And then someone had, I don't know, shot her mum in front of her. That's the kind of face that she just had on like a permanent thing whenever she was with Shane. And they got, I think it was, alright, somehow they managed to go out for like 3 dates. Literally all it consisted of was Shane going out, and he'd be like, "Oh, look, you're very bubbly," and she'll be sat there in silence, looking like a smacked arse. You're very bubbly. Oh, you look lovely today. And she wouldn't even say, she wouldn't say thank you. She wouldn't say okay. She wouldn't say all right. She would nod in slight hate. That's the best word I can come up with. Hateful, barely even acknowledging nods. And they go out for like 3 dates, which like even just watching the bloody thing on TV for like 3 hours. I don't know how long they were there. It was too long, however long it was. And he'd be like, "Can I do you a poem?" And he'd read her the poem, and she'd do the same face, and she wouldn't say anything, and she'd nod awkwardly and continue doing whatever she was doing. If they were eating a meal, she'd eat the food, she'd look in the opposite direction, she'd literally do everything so that she didn't have to look at this man, or be anywhere near this man, or listen to the man, or just pretend the man was not there. Like, she just turned up on her own, like there was a magic fairy just come down and brought this food. Like, "Oh yes, I'll eat this food." But did she enjoy the food? I don't know. She was like Jose Mourinho, like when someone like 6-0 and he still looks like they get like all his entire team has like died, and he's had to go out fielding the players' children, and they're getting bollocked like 70-0. Yet that's what he looks like even when they're winning. And that's what this woman looked like. And so after 3 dates, he was like, "So, do you want to be my girlfriend?" She was like, "Just friends." And he was like, "Okay." And the funniest thing was, after like the second date, he was like, "I think she might be the one." And obviously that didn't work out. Every time he thinks he's got the one, it's like the next time he sees her, she's like, "No, I'm alright." It's literally like how on The Apprentice, whenever anyone is like, I'm the shiznit, yeah? I'm like the bee's knees. Like, if you want a business, then I'm the guy you need for your business. Otherwise, your business is gonna, it's just gonna plop. And then, like, he gets fired that day. And they were like, "Oh, I guess he wasn't the guy he was looking for then." So that's basically Shane in a nutshell. Actually, I'd like to see Shane just like trapped in a big nutshell. That would actually be quite entertaining. Yeah. But speaking of TV, there's more stuff that I want to mention before I go, which, let's face it, it's going to be pretty soon, because we've been going for a while. It's been like a long trekking marathon, but yeah, here we are. Anyway, so the other thing that I want to talk about is usually I have or sometimes at least, I have my segment where I like to say, "Go and check this out on the internet, go and have a look at this, it might be of interest to you." So in the past we've had the kitchen scene from The Cat in the Hat, which is still glorious. But I've got 2 things today, and one of them is, which one to start with? Let's go with the American one, and then we'll finish on the one that's rather lighter. So it's this new series that I found, which is called, well, my friend Marty told me about it, To Catch a Predator, which is basically, to describe it, it's like Watchdog crossed with Bait Car. I don't know if you've ever seen Bait Car. They basically just like have a car that's like there to lure car stealers, and then they steal the car, and then they lock the car because it's like remote controlled, and they turn off all the stuff, and then the police go and arrest them. But this To Catch a Predator thing is not to bring the tone down too far, but basically the gist is that they set up online in like chat rooms. They have like people that pretend they're like 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old boys and girls who talk to older men on the internet, older being like, 18 to 100, whatever. And they like talk, kind of dodgily with each other, and then eventually they lure the man to a house, which is like a bait house, and they have like an actor or an actress who's like 18 or like 19 or 20, but they look about like 13, and they're like, "Hey, come in," and then the guy will go in, and then she'll be like, "Oh, wait, I've just got to go in there, I don't know, go and get dressed or something," and then she'll like go through the door, and then the guy like sit down at like a counter or the table, and then they'll send in the news reporter guy who'll go in and interview them, and he's called Chris Hansen, and he is also a fantastic man. We've had a lot of fantastic men on the show today. Chris Hansen is on that list, and so for example, the kid will be like, "So have you brought everything that we talked about?" And the guy will be like, "Yeah, I've brought materials, etc." And Chris Hansen will come out and be like, "Oh, sounds like you got a busy night planned ahead," and and the guy like crap his pants because he's like, "Oh, who the hell's this dude?" And Chris gets him to sit down, and then he like grills them for like 10 minutes, and then he's like, and then they bring the cameras out, and then they get embarrassed. They don't know whether he's like before that they don't know whether he's like police, or they don't know whether he's the dad of the kid or whatever. And he's got like a transcript of like the chat that they've had online, and he goes through it in front of them, and it's like amazing. And then the fact that he's in that they're like, "Okay, now what?" And then once he get the cameras out, and he's like, "Okay, you can go now," and they're like, it'd be like, "What do you think should happen to you?" And they're like, I think you should let me go home, and I'll sit down and I'll think about what I've done." And he's like, "Well, yeah, you can leave out the door." So they go out the door thinking that they're just like gonna go home or something, and then they have the police like stand by in the next room, and then they like take them down and arrest them, and some of them cry, and one of them try to jab a pen into his neck in the interview room, and yeah, so it's To Catch a Predator with Chris Hansen. And there's like loads of stuff about it on YouTube, so that is fantastic. It's like my new binge thing. And the other thing is a lighter one, but basically it's just the assortment of songs from George Dawes from Shooting Stars. And my two in particular that I quite like at the moment is one of them's called Peanuts by George Dawes, and the other one is called, what is the other one called? Oh yeah, it's like the Happy Birthday song. I don't know what it's called, like Happy Birthday to Me or something. But they're the two that I like off the top of my head. And there's also some like fantastic sketches. Such like, alright, ones that I like are Tiny Eyes and Tiny Hands, which is these guys that sing about having tiny eyes and tiny hands. And like, it's like two separate videos, but like obviously in the one relating to the title, they'll have either tiny eyes or tiny hands, and they sing about having these tiny body parts, and it's wonderful. And another one is You've Been Filmed, which is a spoof off of You've Been Framed, and that is also fantastic. So check out Shooting Stars and all that, and To Catch a Predator. So they're my recommended picks for the week, as well as Undateables if you want. Throw that in there as well. And, well, yeah, okay, we've been going for a while now. So I guess after having gone through all that, we've covered a lot of ground today. So I guess with all that being said, it's time for me, Jib Suave, the man who's straight as a leek and sweet as a nut, to say goodbye, and I'll see you guys next time.